Welcome to the Plant a Trillion Trees podcast. I'm Eva Monheim.
And I'm Hal Rosner. We are both certified arborists through the International Society of Arboriculture. The purpose of our podcast is to encourage tree planting and proper tree care for our urban forests, which include neighborhoods, parks, and other open spaces.
We will also cover a myriad of tree topics, including the important role trees play in relationship to the climate crisis. Thank you for joining us.
Verdant Earth Educators provides dynamic in-person training and online learning opportunities for environmental and horticultural businesses. Owned by ISA-certified arborists and former university faculty, the Verdant Earth Educator team provides consultations on tree care and recommends climate-resilient opportunities for your valued green spaces. Verdant Earth Educators is all about seeding knowledge for success. Find Verdant Earth Educators at verdanteartheducators.com.
Monheim Microphones designs and handcrafts top-tier studio microphones and preamps right here in the United States in Hollywood, California. Their incredible line of innovative microphones and designs are used around the world by everyone from podcasters to top-charting record producers and singers. Monheim Microphones, unparalleled excellence. MonheimMicrophones.com. The Urban Wood Network gives people strength in numbers and a collective voice to showcase the growing environmental impact of an industry like urban wood utilization. This is really critical in a world where resource recovery and carbon storage benefits can go a long way to meet the needs of climate sustainability goals of cities, businesses, and consumers. Contact us at urbanwoodnetwork.org. This podcast is being recorded on March 7th, 2025. Natalie Carmolli handles public relations for Spring Meadow Nursery and Proven Winners ColorChoice Shrubs. She grew up in the floral industry and holds a bachelor's degree in theatrical arts, along with a certificate of mastery in tree and shrub identification from Longwood Gardens. An avid gardener and dynamic communicator, Natalie is passionate about sharing her love of gardening, whether online, traveling across the country, or in her own backyard. Welcome to the Plant a Trillion Trees podcast, Natalie. We're delighted that you could be with us today.
Thanks for asking me.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us everything about Natalie 101. Are you originally from the Midwest? And tell us about your path to horticulture.
I'm born and raised in Michigan. I was born in mid-Michigan, and now I live in West Michigan, but I'm a Lower Peninsula gal. As most people know, Michigan has two peninsulas, and it is significantly snowier up north. So, born and raised here, went to school for theater, actually, and spent some time in Chicago and discovered that theater as a hobby is a lot more fun than trying to make a living at it. But it taught me a lot about public speaking, about comfort in front of people, which has come in really handy when I talk about what I really love now, which is gardening, which is also my profession. I work for Spring Meadow Nursery, which is right on the west side of Michigan. I like to say if you're standing next to the lake and you could see all the way across it, which you can't, you can probably see Chicago. So that's about where we're located, along the shore. And Spring Meadow Nursery grows all the starter shrubs for the Proven Winners ColorChoice brand. So we are an independent nursery. We're a family-owned nursery, and we grow these tiny little liners. Most of them are no taller than a few inches high, but we sell those to growers who then grow them onto the sizes that people use in their nurseries or that landscapers use. So we sell a lot of shrubs every year and a lot of woody ornamentals, and with those is included is ornamental trees.
And about Spring Meadow Nurseries, has it been around for hundreds of years? Is it a newer nursery? And when did you decide to go with liners?
Oh, sure. Spring Meadow was founded in 81.
Oh.
Early 1980s.
Okay.
Dale Deppie started the nursery. He worked at a different local nursery, and he decided to go out on his own and open his own nursery. And it started out as actually an evergreen nursery, which is really common around here. Few hoop houses and growing evergreens, mostly for the local landscape trade. And that was going well. And then he partnered with Proven Winners in the mid-1990s or early to mid-1990s. And they discovered that if we join together as a brand, and now if you think of Proven Winners, each type of plant, so the perennials are all grown by an independent nursery, and the shrubs are all grown by different independent nurseries, same with annuals. So we're all growers that grow under one brand, and what that allows us to do is charge a tiny fraction of what the plant costs for marketing. So there's this tiny marketing fee attached to every plant, and it allows us to be able to go out and talk to people about what we're growing, about what we're doing, and really also help promote these plants for independent nurseries. So for garden centers that don't have the time or the effort or even the know-how to get a lot of word out about these plants that they want to stock and of course sell, we're able to do a lot of that work for them. So we've grown exponentially. Clearly, we have about 60 acres of greenhouses under glass now where we grow these liner shrubs.
Wow.
The reason
That's a lot of football fields.
Yeah, it is. You'll see a lot of bikes and a lot of golf carts when you go inside of our nursery. It's a lot of space to get around in. They're called liner plants because they're all lined up on the floor of the nursery. So nothing's grown on a bench. They're all grown on the floor. We give a lot of tours of our production facilities. We use a lot of automation to get these plants grown every year. And then, of course, we have almost equal the amount of fields. In our fields, we have some of the mother plants that we use for our stock because all of our plants that are released into the Proven Winners brand are genetically identical. So we only use cuttings to grow plants. And then a lot of our fields are also used for trialing. Each of the plants that we sell goes through about 10 years of trialing from greenhouse to field to display garden before they're put out into our catalog.
I have to say that it's really impressive. I've been there for a tour twice, and I could not believe the people coming in and out on bicycles and little carts. And it's just truly a magical place. It's almost like if somebody wanted to go to a candy store, it's a plant candy store, definitely a plant candy store, and lots of variation. And you can just go up and down and see all these beautiful blooming plants. And it's just captivating. It's captivating.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people have this idea when they hear the word shrub that if they go to the greenhouse, all they're going to see is green. And shrubs come in so many colors. You know, you can look across and it's almost, in spring when the shrubs are all fleshing out, it's almost like looking across a Holland field of tulips, all the different squares of bright colors.
That's a good way to describe it. Really That's an excellent way to describe it. I would agree with that.
Is this a marketing strategy, Natalie, that you kind of take your brightly colored shrubs and trees and then name them after something sweet so that people will want to buy candy time and
candy corn?
Candy.
Candy corn. The naming.
Candy corn.
Yeah, the naming shrubs is actually a little more complex than you'd think. It kind of seems like we all sit around and go, that's a fun name. Let's just name it that, right? But each of the plants have the name is a registered trademark. So it's complex trying to make sure that a plant name hasn't already been used somewhere else because you can't use a name that somebody else has already trademarked. Of course, you want it to be catchy. Of course, you want it to describe the plant or the series of plants. So it's a little tricky. When I first started working here, I was like, I want to be part of naming the plants. And then I decided, maybe not.
Yeah.
So we leave that to the people that really work really closely with the plants and have a lot more history about what has worked and what hasn't worked in the past. But there are some fun and interesting names that they come up with for sure.
Sure. And wait till AI gets hold of it. It's going to go the next level with plant names.
They've already gone the next level with the way they think plants ought to look with all those silly pictures you see online.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's really that part of the naming. it sinks into your brain when you are looking for something. I remember one was called Full Steam Ahead. And that one there is like, you can't forget that, Full Steam Ahead. I mean,
yeah, it's actually Full Speed Ahead.
Oh, Full Speed Ahead. I thought it was
Full Steam Ahead works too, but Full Speed Ahead because it's a quick growing
growing plant.
Goes into a hedge. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Just a little bit of nursery intro. Can you tell our listeners what a liner typically is defined as in the industry?
A liner is basically, I give a lot of tours and I always say a liner is a very small plant. But our plants are grown in 3 sizes. You'll have a 2 1/4 inch plug, a 4-inch plug, or a quick turn. And those are all liners. Like I said, they're grown in long lines on the nursery floor, but each one, especially the 2 1/4 and 4-inch, are designed to just move up into the next size, which would be quick turn. Quick turns are called that because our growers can quickly turn that 1-quart plant into a 1-gallon plant for quicker sale. Because, people always say, well, especially at the consumer level, they're like, well, is it smarter to pay more for a big plant, or should I get a smaller plant and save money? And I said, well, it's always a trade-off, right? You're going to trade your money for your time. So decide what's more valuable. And that's what our growers decide every day too. Do we want to get this little bit bigger liner and save time and, sell these plants faster? So everybody has their own way, but these are all liners. They're all starter plants, and they all have to be well rooted before they go out the door.
So when I see a proven winner at like a big box store, I can assume that if it was coming from your nursery, it probably has had a stopover at another grower. Is that right? Someone that has a contract with the big box store.
Yes. So we have growers that grow those to the size that, say, a Home Depot might carry. And I like to say, whenever anybody sees a shrub in a Proven Winners ColorChoice container, it was most likely born at Spring Meadow Nursery, whether it's in California, in Minnesota, down in Florida. It was most likely born in Grand Haven. Now, we do have a few licensed growers that are licensed to also propagate liners. Those are also larger nurseries, but most of them start here. And yes, then they're grown by another grower. The exception is in Canada. All of our plants that are started and grown in Canada. So our Canadian plants are 100% Canadian. Let's put it that way.
That's a good one. I know your tree line, your small tree line, which is one of the things that we want to hear about today. Not that we can't talk about the shrubs, because we can go back to those, but that you have some smaller little crab apples, which grab the attention of any gardener who might like to, make jam out of those fruits, or have beautiful fruits during the wintertime on the tree so that the birds can eat it, but also beautiful flowers in the springtime. It can be put into small containers or made into a hedge, or there's just so many things you can do with them.
Yeah, we were really lucky a few years ago to partner with Maria Zampini, who is the manager of our ornamental tree line. And they have, of course, the Zampini's generations of experience in growing ornamental trees. And a couple of these crab apples were ones that they had in their line, and we were able to license to put into our new Proven Winners ColorChoice tree collection. There's a couple. There's Sweet Sugar Time, which is kind of that typical tree that you'd think about with those nice white flock of flowers in the spring. We like ornamental crab apples because they're always a really manageable size at around 15 to 20 feet tall. And then they have those nice shiny crab apples that hopefully are persistent. And that's what we have on both of our crab apple trees, our fruit that stays on the tree through the winter. It doesn't fall off right away and create a big mess on the floor. Nice shiny red fruits that stay on the tree. But my favorite of our crab apples, I have to say, is Showtime. And this is our 2025 Tree of the Year. Now, Proven Winners has an of the year program for almost all of their plants. And what that is it just shines a focus on a plant that our growers think is just exceptional. And we want to make sure there's a lot in the market. And our first Tree of the Year we chose is a crab apple, and it's Showtime crab apple.
Wow.
And this one has fuchsia red flowers. I'm just like almost neon pink flowers in the spring. So it's really brilliant, really eye-catching with this nice canopy of fuchsia red flowers. It's almost like if you're familiar with prairie fire.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Similar in that color to prairie fire, maybe a little bit brighter, a little more upright, and a little less densely clustered. Prairie fire can sometimes get a little tightly branched, and you have to really do a lot of selective pruning. This one is a little less work in that respect, but nice oval upright habit, really, really pretty color with a really bright, shiny red fruits.
Now, with sugar time, Eva and I learned a year or two ago, and I can't remember who our guest was, but we learned that sometimes the home grower or the hobby gardener is the person that comes up with something pretty unique and terrific. Do you have any of those stories where someone approaches you and said, I think I've got something going here with a crabapple or a redbud. Can I send you some pictures?
Maria would have to be the one to give you those stories.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Maria that we were talking to. I think it was Maria. Yes.
Those stories to us. So we'll have to find out if we can get some of those and maybe tack one on somewhere, because I'm sure she has a volume of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are fun stories.
Yeah.
It's just the cool part of horticulture that there's the professional level with distribution and sourcing. And then there's, Bob and Mary in a garage somewhere outside of Toledo that love catalpas, and they're convinced they're going to find something variegated or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's true of our entire shrub line. Every now and then you'll find something like polypetite hibiscus that was from Polyhill Arboretum that the founder of the Arboretum bred and had in the Arboretum that we added to our collection. So there's all sorts of fun little stories sprinkled through the catalog. If I had them all in my brain, this would have to be a much longer podcast.
Yes.
It's funny that you're saying that, because I did a tree talk the other night in one of the local communities, and a little boy put up his hand and he said, "Do you know, I found a tree that the emerald ash borer didn't eat, and it's an ash." And I said to him, "You might be our next plant breeder and explorer."
Yes. If you have his contact information, I'll have to send him a Plant Geek hat.
And he said to me, "And I can show you exactly where it's located." I was
My goodness. That is wonderful. That's our next generation right there.
That made me so happy. You can't even believe it.
That is a great story.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
His dad had a big smile on his face too.
I wouldn't even know where to look.
Well, I would think Michigan would be ground zero for any surviving ash, right? Because I think Michigan has the distinction of where emerald ash borer first appeared in the American landscape.
Yeah, it's quite possible. No matter where something appears, it seems like you watch the map and you watch things head toward you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
No
I'm
doubt.
just waiting for my first spotted lanternfly.
Oh, well, we've had them here, and the scourge has come through and gone, but they're still around, not like they were. But so tell us a couple more trees that are in your small tree line.
It's interesting because we have a lot of flowering trees in our small tree line, of course.
Right.
We talked about a couple of crab apples, but there's some really unique ones too that we were able to move from the shrub line over to the tree line because they have this distinction of being a shrubby tree.
That's great. That's great.
They're a multi-stem tree, and one that, I really love that I think deserves a spot in anybody's yard because it's so interesting all season is Heptacodium. Or seven sunflower. And we have Temple of Bloom in our collection. It's only 10 to 15 feet tall and wide. In our display garden, Dale Deppie, who owns the property and owns the nursery, limbs it up a little bit so we can see the bark, which is really interesting. It's got this exfoliating bark in the winter time. And then when I talk about this tree in, seminars or if I'm speaking to people, I like to say that when Temple of Bloom is in bloom, when you see all the white flowers on there, you're going to hear it before you see it because there are so many pollinators swarming it. The pollinators and the bees just go crazy for the flowers on this. So it's a wonderful pollinator magnet. And then when the flowers are done, you have those bright red bracts. And on Temple of Bloom, the bracts are really a brighter red than your typical heptacodium. So it's a gorgeous full season plant with the green glossy leaves, white flowers, red bracts, exfoliating bark, nice size for a landscape. You can still have a nice specimen tree without it being 100 feet tall. But I love that. And that's part of our tree collection that was already in the shrub collection. But that, and we added golden, let me double. I don't want to
Golden chain?
No.
It's not golden chain. I'm almost here.
Golden rain.
Golden shadows.
Golden shadows, yeah.
Golden shadows. And that's a nice Cornus alternifolia.
Oh.
Small size again. I don't know. I just did a program for National Garden Bureau, and it's Year of the Dogwood. And we will to talk about all the different types of Cornus, including Cornus alternifolia, which I think is a really pretty one. I love it because it's native. It's a native species, really hardy. This one's 10 to 12 feet tall and wide. It's got that variegated foliage, bright yellow foliage with like a dark green thumbprint on the leaves, and that kind of horizontal appearance to the way the branches are with those little platelets of white flowers in the spring. So I love golden shadows. I think that's another great tree to put on the edges of a tree line to mix into your mixed garden because it can take a little more shade. I've got one in my own garden. It blushes pink in the spring and then again in the fall as well. So you get a little bit of that pink margining on the leaves as well. It's a really pretty ornamental tree.
I have a Temple of Bloom next to my front door in a container, and I love it.
Yeah, and isn't that great that you can grow some of these small trees in containers? For a while, there's going to come a time when they say, well, I don't live here anymore. But that time for some trees can take quite a while.
I remember the first time that I saw a heptacodium was when I was teaching at the university in 2005. And it really hadn't been known in the industry at all. And the story behind it was actually brought here in, I think it was 1906 by E.H. Wilson. E.H. Wilson.
E.H., yeah.
E.H. Wilson. And he brought it with Swardia. And the Swardia just overshadowed the heptacodium. And the heptacodium sat in the National Arboretum for a long time. Really nobody ever noticed it. So it wasn't until 1980 where they went on another expedition and found it again and brought it back. And that's how it made its claim to fame in the 1980s when it was brought from the second expedition when it was discovered. And that to me is a really interesting story for people to wait 80 years before they actually notice it again.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
And now it's in the industry, and it's so nice to see that there's cultivars coming from it. And it is a beautiful exfoliating bark. The bark is just for winter interest alone. It's worth having. If you want to have one beautiful tree that has an exfoliating bark right by your front door, yes.
Yes.
It's a really nice one.
So, Eva, you might be able to speak to this. It's interesting that heptacodium is pulling in pollinators too, right? Isn't that the wrap on?
The pollinators are, and it's non-native, but I will honestly tell you, it fills that period between like August and September, because there's other things that are blooming in September until our common hemamalus comes into bloom in October. There's that period of time where you just don't have a lot in bloom. And oh my gosh, you're right. You do hear it before you see it. It's just covered. You can see all the insects above the flowers just waiting to get into the flower center.
Yeah, it's a late summer bloomer and a rich source of nectar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. With the small tree conversation, I always like to tell the little neighborhood anecdote, something observed, is around the corner on my city block, someone inadvertently on either side of our sidewalk right-of-ways planted red bud on one side, Japanese maple on the other side. So we have two types of trees, neither of which are any taller than 12 or 14 feet, but a beautiful arching canopy has resulted. It's almost like, you don't have to have your majestic American elm lining your streets because small trees get the job done as well. So that leads me to ask, because anytime I can, I'm an opportunist when I can raise the topic of hawthorns. And I noticed that you do have a hawthorn in that selection for Improved Winters as well. Can you talk about that one?
Yeah, I actually have, it's Spring Glory, Amelanker, right?
No, Crataegus cruzgali.
Right.
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes, Crusader.
What a great name for the, okay, I'm not going to go there.
He gets excited when he talks. Gosh, he wasn't at the plant talk yesterday at the flower show, which was put on by Bartlett. I have to mention this because there was a scientist there who talked for almost an hour about hawthorns.
Well, you're breaking my heart. Okay, you're going to have to debrief me.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay.
And also, shout out to Bartlett and Home Depot. We are looking for sponsors, but go ahead, Natalie.
Yeah, Crusader is a great hawthorn. It's got, the expected white floral display late in the spring. The bark is beautiful and silvery colored, colorful fall foliage. It's thornless, which is really nice. It's a nice thornless native hawthorn. What we love about this kind of tree is it's such a great tree for the city, right? Because it doesn't mind dry soil. It doesn't have to have a certain pH level. It can be in clay. It can be in the salt. So if you have it near a roadway where it's getting some incidental salt, it's fine. It's disease resistant. I mean, this guy is so incredibly tough. We say it's resistant to deer and rabbits, but at some point they're not going to be able to reach it unless they want to gnaw away at the bark. But once again, another great pollinator, right? This is but it is a nice native species. So the people that really like to have that for their pollen, it's a nice source of that. And it's a good size tree, but I'm trying to remember how tall it is. But it's also hardy down to USDA.
They do get to a nice, manageable size. What would you say, Eva? 20, 25?
I would say 20, 25 at max.
Yeah.
Because they're typically a first successional tree. And the other thing about them is, and Natalie might be able to give some ideas on this, is that it's probably one of the most unused trees. And there's so much that they don't know about it. And this is what this guy was talking about yesterday. It was a scientist from Bartlett. I think his name was Adam. I can't remember his last name. But he was mentioning that this is such an underused plant. And there's so many variations of it that scientists are still baffled about the genetics of it. I was really taken back when he started talking about it. And I thought of you, of course, Hal. But having a really good one that can be used along a small street where someone can really not only benefit from seeing the flowers and the pollinators, but also attract the birds in the wintertime when the fruit comes on. Because that was one of the things that I first noticed when we had it planted in our community along a main roadway, that during the wintertime, when the robins started coming back in late winter, the birds would attack one tree at a time down the roadway. And there were about 50 of them on this roadway, lining the roadway. And every day I come back and, here's another grouping of birds eating this next one down. They were very clean about how they did it. They started at the top of the block and worked her all the way down and ate the berries. And like you were saying, they're not messy. They weren't messy because the birds ate them. Yeah. So you didn't have to worry about them dropping on the ground or anything.
Yeah, and when they stay on the tree like that all season, just like you said, it makes it accessible to the birds when they're looking for food, when they're venturing back. And these berries on the Crusader are just bright, like candy apple red. They're absolutely beautiful.
Well, that's the other thing about them, because of the color, it brightens up whatever area you put it into. because it gives you that pop of color in the dead of winter. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at this berry. It's like having a holly. It's like having a holly,
like
only without leaves.
Yeah. Or a winterberry.
Winterberry holly. Yeah.
It has the stems and the berries.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get the fall foliage color too. So once again, all season interest.
And we have to mention there the herbal aspect, which is that the berries are heart healthy over and over again. Long-time herbal remedy or herbal medication for heart health is to brew a simple tea, just handful of berries. And when you go to the ethnic markets, the Russian markets up this way, they always sell hawthorn berries, dried and ready for consumption.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
We have to make sure that we say that we're not doctors. So just so you know out there,
yes, right,
that we are not doctors, but we have all these little tips and tricks.
I think we proved that long ago, Eva. Not doctors.
Oh my gosh, at least we could laugh at ourselves, right?
It's essential. It's essential. So I just talked about, the 12-foot Japanese maple redbud and the canopy. And the other thing I'm thinking about, like right now, we have high wind alerts going through the night. Wind is another component of an unstable atmospheric systems that are kind of crumbling or at least being reworked due to the unfolding climate catastrophe. So if you do happen to have that yard of small ornamentals, yes, they're going to give you pollination. Yes, they're going to give you shade. Yes, they're going to give you uplifting colors. And you don't have to worry in any way about a big tree looming over your house. And it's a concern we have to respect and take seriously, that saturated soils, high winds are a really challenging formula for tree failure. So I appreciate this. And I'm visualizing neighborhoods here in Philly where, space is tight on streets, where small trees will continue to fit that bill.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. When a branch breaks off from a 15, 20-foot tree, it's not going to go through your roof.
Right. And if you know the fundamentals, you can actually handle the pruning of it and the cost savings of the cost of pruning a redbud versus a white oak are, hundreds of percent differential there.
Natalie, I like the fact that you were talking about the large shrubs that can be made into trees or used as a tree. What are some other ones that you can share with us?
Okay, here's an interesting one that we added to our collection a little while back. And it is, people will say, well, that's a tree. But we've been adding a couple Japanese maples to our collection. And I'm a little hesitant to bring them up because we're still kind of adding more to what we've got to put out.
Right. Okay. But we can look forward to them coming.
Yeah, we can look forward to them. So they're a little slower coming out. But one that I want to talk about is called Metamorphosa. It's a really gorgeous little shrubby Acer palmatum. It's like 5 to 13 feet tall. So talk about a great container tree. A nice little container tree, only 3 to 10 feet wide, but it still has that kind of shrubby look that we get from, say, a heptacodium or some of the other kind of cornices that you might see, like a Tatarian dogwood or something like that. But this has got a really beautiful, fine texture, light green leaves that tend to that red color, and then eventually it'll turn like a red violet in the fall. This was a finalist at the Royal Horticulture Society Plant of the Year competition at the Chelsea Flower Show before we got our hands on it. So we know it's a really beautiful tree, and we're really happy to be able to add it to our collection a few years ago. So we're starting to see a little more availability on the market with this one. And as soon as they are available, people snap them up because it's such a gorgeous little Japanese maple.
Or if they're a collector, too, of the Japanese maples. I have a couple neighbors here that are really big collectors. When I say big collectors, the nursery people call them right away as soon as a new one comes in. And they're over there with their trucks and picking them up. So, that's
an investment, too. A Japanese maple is definitely an investment. So being a collector and being a specialist at how to care for them is often very handy.
Absolutely.
So I have a question, and Eva probably has a comment on this as well. So we've talked a couple times about small trees and containers, and we do know that depending on the species, there is going to be some potential for them to be root bound. But isn't there an option then to carefully pull that plant out and do a little root pruning and then reset it? Couldn't you buy some time or treat it as a large bonsai?
I would call it buying time, definitely.
Yeah.
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 Some selective root pruning, sure. It's not a permanent solution by any means, especially if the tree, I like to tell people trees and shrubs are given a certain size on their tag, and that's the size they're going to want to get to.
Right.
And that's the size where they're going to be most comfortable, or even bigger if you decide to never prune them. But yeah, that's definitely a way you can do it, because they will tend to circle, they'll circle the roots in the container, and that's not.
Yeah. But I know the little I know about bonsai, it is part of that bonsai culture is I think once a year they're coming out of the pot and snip, snip, snip on the root system and resettling. So I had a project in the neighborhood last summer, which was Arizona cypress at a neighborhood brew pub, and they were throwing out 2 beautiful Arizona cypress that I'm sure you have it out your way too, Natalie. People like the look of planting an array of perennials, annuals, and woodies in the big livestock tanks. So it's a good look, but these were, like I said, sitting near the dumpster, and they were pot bound. And we were able to, I think at this point, they were about 4 inches in diameter, 3.5, 4 inches diameter. And we did fluff up the roots and transplant them at a neighborhood park. So I think there is that possibility of just treating them as the big bonsai that you root prune every couple of years.
Yeah, that very well could be possible. And, bonsai I've seen azaleas. I've seen bonsai azaleas. I've seen,
rhododendrons, large rhododendrons made, kept small.
At Longwood is where I saw them.
Yes. I was just going to say our collection at Longwood is huge with bonsai. So most definitely they could be root pruned. And that's what I do with mine in containers. I actually pull them out and prune them and then put them back in and put fresh soil in and put more fertilizer in. And then they kind of pop back again. And
nice.
That's definitely. But you also have some other things like that could be used too. And I'm thinking, I have one that I just love, and I think it's probably, I don't want to say it really loud, but it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
Is Pinky Winky.
Oh, yeah.
Makes me uncomfortable when you say that.
And do you put that in a container?
I have it in a container, and it's the tree that is the exclamation point at the end of my patio area.
Wow, because that's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He wants to be really big.
He wants to be big, and you prune from the bottom. He's a beautiful tree and everything on top. And when the blooms come in, again, it's like the temple of bloom, the heptacodium. It is mesmerizing. I can sit out there for hours watching all the insects. It's just incredible. The flowers, the fragrance, everything.
What's so nice about Pinky Winky is it has that almost lace cap panicle. So those fertile florets are really easy for the pollinators to get to. So you do get, I think, a lot more pollinator action with it. So do you have it pruned up like a standard?
Yes, it's a standard in my garden. And I just, honestly, every time people ask me, who is that? Who is that? And I tell them, it's just, I can't get enough of it. And I even take cuttings of it. And when the flowers are finally like the reddish color that they turn, I cut it then because then they're sturdy enough that I can bring them in and fill a big vase with, and they dry. And I have them in my living room. I have them on my antique table. They're gorgeous.
And are the flowers really big when they're a standard like that? Because they're known for having really long panicles.
They're like almost 18 to 20, 22, 24 inches tall. And like I said, I'm in love with them. I'm in love with them.
I need a picture, Eva.
It's just fun, to have something like that. But I can see that in the city where you have very small space, but it's a sunny location to put it into a container and have it there as your tree, because you can't have a big one,
Right. Or you could do, a little quick fire or, a smaller version of a panicle hydrangea if you wanted a really teeny tiny standard.
Yes. Yes. Limelight's another one. Limelight's another one that you can make into a tree too.
Oh, yeah. But maybe we should try some of these teeny tiny ones and, do that selective pruning on them and see what we could do with a hydrangea.
Well, it's really funny because I taught a class at Longwood and I had the hydrangeas, your hydrangeas, come in and I can't remember which one it was, but we did espaliers with them, espalier, and we had bamboo stakes and people loved it. They all walked out with these espaliered panicle hydrangeas.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So there's...
Is Pinky Winky a container?
Pinky Winky's in my container, but you could...
Oh, it is in a container.
It's in a container. It's in the...
Is that like a wine barrel kind of thing? Or
it's in a large, like a classic flower pot, but it's tall. It's maybe about 4 feet tall, the container is, and then the plant's in that. So then it stands up really tall.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I actually have another good suggestion for a container plant, a container tree. It's a new tree that you're going to start seeing more in the market now too, because it came out a couple of years ago, and it's a ginkgo. So it's at maturity, it'll get around 15 feet tall, but only 3 and 3.5 feet wide. So it's called skinny fit. So it's tall and narrow. Like, what if you had it in a container, like flanking the sides of your door, or, at the bottom of your porch steps? It's just this columnar presentation, and then it turns golden in the fall. It's a really cool container. I think it would be really great in a container.
Is it male or female?
This is actually, it must be a male. There's no fruit. So you don't have to deal with the stinky fruit. It has no flowers either, though. It hasn't been observed to have flowers or fruit.
Oh, because I was wondering if we could have, if somebody who's into the fruit, they could have 2 of them either side and then pick the fruit. Oh, yeah.
You won't get fruit on this, guys.
I'm thinking of all my Asian friends here.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of other people are like, oh, this fruit, no.
I've saved a lot of female trees in my neighborhood because we used to live in a place called Little Korea, and I would say to my neighbors, just call the Asian market. And within 24 hours, they're all cleaned up. They come over and pick everything up, and then they take them to the market and they sell them. So,
oh my goodness.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah. Perfect partnership.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Superfood.
I think I saw that at the Mance show. Did you have it at Mance? I remember seeing it, and I love, love, love ginkgos. I mean, anybody listening to this and you want a small tree, ginkgo's the way to go too. Without having any flowers, without having to worry about bee bites or anything like that. Especially if you are allergic to bees, there's a good example of a tree that could be very passive.
Yeah, and this is such a unique habit. I think it's really interesting.
So is Skinny Fit out there in the marketplace? Is it available?
Yes.
Okay.
You might have a little more luck looking online than your.
Okay.
I always say look at your local nursery first. I'm a big advocate for please shop at your local nursery. You might have a little more luck looking at a tree specialist online, or if you have a nursery that you like that specializes in trees, just asking them to bring one in.
Our nursery here in our region, the one, our garden center, they would have it in there. I'll give a shout out to Primex. They usually have that kind of plant because people like unusual in our area. So that might be someplace to look. Yeah. Any other goodies?
I do have one more goodie I would love to talk about in the ornamental tree collection. And it's Cercis canadensis, and it's called Midnight Express. And it's won a Far West Award, so people are really loving it when they see it at the shows. And what's so great about this red bud is it's a dark purple leaf. So it's got burgundy, like velvety, deep burgundy foliage, 20 to 30 feet tall, 10 to 20 feet wide, pretty typical. But it's just so pretty with this dark purple foliage. And then when it gets those bright pink red bud blooms on it in the spring, it's just a gorgeous, unique red bud.
And that's another one for a shady. You could use that on a shady street where the buildings are shadowing each other, where you can line the street with red buds and be very happy with getting the blooms, getting the beautiful leaves, and getting the fall color. Wow.
Yeah, I do like to say, whenever you have something like, oh, this has really great purple leaf, or this has really great red fall color, if you give it a little sun, it's going to reward you with a little more leaf color.
Right.
But all in all, it's developed to have a nice dark purple leaf.
Now, you alluded to an amelanchier earlier.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to share that? Because I don't know whether everybody knows this, but Robin Kimmerer just came out with a new book called Serviceberry.
Oh.
And that is selling like hotcakes because everybody's like, oh, yeah, I know what Serviceberry is. But the whole idea of Serviceberry is really incredible.
Yeah.
So, talk about your Serviceberry.
I think I had Serviceberry on the brain earlier because I'm working with somebody who's putting some trees in a catalog spread, and we were talking just about spring glory just before I came here.
Yeah.
And this is a really pretty Serviceberry. Once again, it's a native species, so that makes it really nice. You know, just like when we were talking about Crusader earlier, it's another really great street tree. It's really, really durable. It's got a profuse, like white spring bloom, so it's absolutely gorgeous. Great fruit. The Serviceberry fruit is once again just absolutely wonderful for, of course, the wildlife, orange fall foliage. It's a really great tree. It's interesting because this is going to be totally off topic, but
that's okay. Go ahead.
But I'm a theater person, right? I'm a theater geek. I'm an actor. And there's a local theater group that was called Shadblow Theater. And for the longest time, I was like, what?
That's great.
Shadblow Theater. I started learning more about Serviceberry, and I was like, there it is.
And do you know that it came from our region, the term Shadblow, because the native Lenape Indians, when that would come into bloom, the shad were running in the Delaware River. They're part of the salmon group, and they would run up the river. So when that was in bloom, that was when they would go fishing.
Oh.
So that's where Shadblow comes from.
And that's how they knew.
That's how they knew. And it's really funny. That tree has the genus has, I think, over 400 names because there's so many different species, but it's because it's so connected to humans and their uses of it that each group of people or tribe would give it a different name because of the use for it. Like the Cree called it Saskatoon. Saskatoon. And so that's another one, but they're all different names for the same fruit is what they're using it for, which I think is so fascinating. It's found from the Arctic all the way down into Mexico. So, and it's clear across the country from one coast to the other, but it's all different sizes and shapes and forms, depending on where it's fitting into the environment, which makes me really happy. Because it's a fruit that everybody needs to eat because it's so healthy for you, too.
I have this one in my backyard. I'm still waiting for it to fruit. You know, whenever you put a tree in, it takes a couple of years for them to start doing what they're supposed to do every year. And
absolutely.
That first fruiting of it. But this is a nice small one, 12 feet tall only. So it's a dwarf Serviceberry. And so it fits really nice in a residential neighborhood or, you know, as an urban street tree.
There you go. Under power lines was the first time that I heard people using Serviceberry for under power lines. And of course, redbud too, the same thing. I had been up to a place in Reading, Pennsylvania, where the power company said, we have this whole field of trees, new trees for you to look at. These all can go under power lines so that we don't have to have power failures. And that's where I saw Amelanchier and redbud for the first time.
Or trees that are cut like a big U because all they did was just cut where the power lines go.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just ashamed for that tree.
I saw a joke online today. There were two beautiful trees, and then there was this tree that was shaped like a U, and the two that were normal shapes said, "Let's just not tell him what he looks like." Laugh.
That's great.
And we won't call him you either. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
So, Eva, did you run across why they call it Serviceberry?
Serviceberry, yes. There's a reason why they call it Serviceberry too. When that would be in bloom, the ground was soft enough to have burials. So it was called for just having our service for the person who died.
Back in February.
We can actually now bury them now because the ground is defrosted enough that we can get a shovel into it.
Yeah.
So that's why it was called Serviceberry. But I also think it must be called serviceberry too because of all the services it provides.
Mm.
That's what I always had assumed, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But somebody said, no, it had to do with funerals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these have the really pretty dark purpley blue fruit.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Makes great pie. I have a pie in my freezer right now that's serviceberry and raspberry. Oh my gosh.
Mine starts making fruit. I'll be out there. Hopefully I can get out there before the birds do.
Pretty soon. Pretty soon. But what's nice about the tree, and I remember going downtown for some kind of event, and there was this guy that I knew from this organization. He said, I want to show you something. He said, I don't tell too many people where this tree is, but my wife and I come here in the evening to eat the service berries. And he showed me the tree. And he said, but most people don't know that they're edible. So we have the tree to ourselves. I think it was on Locust Street. I was kind of laughing because it's on Locust Street, Serviceberry. We don't have a Serviceberry Street.
Yeah.
Or a Shadblow Street. But
right.
Yeah, it's really funny.
So I put my serviceberry under a test just a couple weeks ago because, part of being an arborist horticulturist is you have to experiment. So my serviceberry, which was probably planted 25 years ago, got away from me. And so it was up to about 18 inches in diameter, but it was also up to the third floor of the house. So could not access berries. You did not see the fruit. So I really wanted to start, seeing if I could get berries. And so I'm going to coppice it. Well, I've begun to coppice it, and it has been reduced now to 4.5 feet high. But It has a couple little sprouts. Yeah, it's a single trunk. Those of you who are not watching the visual, Eva's eyebrows are going up in surprise. But I'm confident. I think the tree is going to thank me because it's going to flush out epicarmic growth, and I'll just gently and lovingly train it so that we can have fruit and see the flowers again. Wish me luck.
There you go. Natalie, you started out, you were saying that Dale started the nursery as an evergreen, more of an evergreen nursery. Tell us about some of your evergreen trees that are really wonderful too.
Well, we have 24, conifers, and I'm not even going to talk about broadleaf evergreens, right?
Right, conifers.
There's always all the broadleaf evergreens. I didn't even include them in the count. I'll just go down the list really quick because I wrote them all down so that I have the numbers.
Okay, good.
We have 4 varieties of Chamaecyparis, 4 varieties of juniper, 1 microbiota, Celtic Pride, that's the Siberian cypress, 3 taxus, so 3 different kinds of yew, and 7 arborvitae, because of course those are always a big seller as long as you don't have deer.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then 2 varieties of Thuja placata, the Western arborvitae, which is a little better if you have deer.
Yes. Our deer aren't smart enough yet to eat it. Not yet. Not yet. They haven't learned from their Western cousins yet.
No, that'll be a dark day when they start eating it.
That'll be a very dark day.
Yeah.
There's one arborvitae that I just love, and I think it should be in every city garden. So I have to say this. It's called Thin Man.
Oh, yeah.
And it is wonderful. It doesn't get any wider than 3 feet. I think it's 3 feet by 3 feet. Yeah. So you could make a hedge out of it along a wall or someplace where you can, if you want to hide something, it makes a great hedge. But it's just beautiful. I love it because it's so narrow.
Thin Man's part of the Full Speed Ahead program.
There you go. Okay. And the American pillar is also another nice one with a fatter base and the narrower top. It almost looks like a skyscraper that has been narrowed in its tallest portion. So I love that. I have
a hedge of American pillar growing. When we moved into our house 4 years ago, I like a little privacy between me and the neighbors. So I put some 1 gallons of American pillar in. And that was 4 years ago. I would say they're almost 5 feet tall. So they're marching along pretty good there, filling in well.
That's a nice plant to have. And you could put that into a solitary container. In fact, I've seen those used in individual containers. Instead of planting in the ground, you could use a container to make them taller faster. Yeah. So if you're looking for, privacy, that's a really good one. You put irrigation.
A little container for Christmas too. I have some Thin Mans and at Christmas time, I tend to be able to get my hands on an arborvitae here or there. And I have a couple in containers from then. I got, where am I going to put these now?
They're great. They're great. Yeah.
Do you feel like your house is getting planted out? I'm maxed out at my place.
Oh yeah, I am. We moved from a city lot we bought 1 acre into a 1 acre lot. And I am running, my plan is to not have any grass eventually, right?
Right.
I do a lot of hugelkultur gardening. I do mounds because our actual soil is almost 100% sand.
Can you tell us quickly what hugelkultur is for our listeners? It's great.
Absolutely.
Concept.
So hugelkultur gardening is when you take natural materials that have fallen and you use those to create mounds. So luckily, when I bought my house, there were already a lot of trees that had small, narrower trees that had fallen that were easy to cut up and that were in various states of decay already. And you lay those out first, and then you just do layers of brown and green. So you can do layers of dried leaves, and you can do layers of grass mulch, and you just layer those up, and then I top it off with topsoil. And the nice thing about hugelkultur gardening is everything that's underneath that mound breaks down and feeds your plants that are on the top. So it works really beautiful where we are. And plus, I'm a gardener of a certain age, and it gets the plants a little higher where they're a little easier to reach.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really, I think it's a brilliant idea. You know, Jenny Rose Carey from Garden Communicators, she has hugelkulturs all over her property. And, you know, one of them was like 10 feet tall, and now it's down to only 3 feet. It's only 3 feet high because it all disintegrated from all the plants that were on top of it. But she just planted wildflower seeds on top of it. And it just threw the wildflower seeds on it. And I want to tell you something. Everybody who came to visit her that year that she did that, everybody just commented. Like, it was incredible. It was incredible. Yeah. But she had a lot of trees on the property. And, you know, then a tornado came through and knocked over. So now she's making a wood garden, an actual wood garden with all the trunks of trees and limbs, and so it'll be not quite hugelkultur. It'll be a little bit different, but yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what's right in front of you to use in your garden that is so beneficial to the plants that you want to put in as well.
Do you grow vegetables in the hugelkultur?
I haven't. I tried a little bit of growing them in the hay bales. So the straw bales, that didn't work out so well for me.
Okay. Yeah.
But I tried it. But no, mostly I grow my vegetables in those great big containers you were talking about earlier, those big feed trough things.
Right. But I'm assuming I'm mispronouncing it every time, but with hugelkultur, can you use kitchen scraps in there as well?
I suppose you could. I don't. I put mine in my composter and let it break down first.
Okay.
Just because anytime I put a kitchen scrap out there, I might also get a skunk. So,
oh, that's right.
Actually, as many possums as want to show up can, but I really don't want a family of skunks. And, you know, that's interesting that you're saying that, because I remember Jenny, I think she had a groundhog in hers. But it wasn't from kitchen scraps. It was from all the other stuff. But yeah, you're going to get other things coming to visit. Yeah. So there's no problem, I think, with them breaking down and providing nourishment to the plants. It's just, I don't want to provide nourishment to varmints that I don't want in my yard. So I just put compost. Yeah, that's something. And then when they break down, they can get dumped out.
You've already indulged me with Crataegus conversation, but before we let you go, since I am a Midwestern zealot myself, how is Michigan doing with fruit crops? Because as a kid growing up, it was always the stone fruits of Michigan, plum, cherry, peach, etc. Is Michigan still generating produce at the level I remember as a kid?
Yeah, we're still strong into fruit, and it depends on what region you're in, right? If you're up north, they're growing cherries. Down here, we see a lot of blueberries. Blueberries, I was impressed with that. Blueberry farms everywhere you go, and they are absolutely delicious. And the interesting thing that they do in these blueberry fields is, like any other crop, You want to make sure that once they've set their buds, that they don't get that freeze-thaw cycle, like a hydrangea or anything else, that you don't want to lose your fruit because of some freeze cycle. So what they do is at some point early in the season, they'll put their irrigation on and freeze them on purpose. And I don't know at what... There's got to be a timing, and I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason, but I've seen them do that, like spray them, and I'm sure someone will write in and go, I know exactly why they do that. But I just thought that was really interesting when I saw that. But we do a lot of blueberries down here, good amount of apples too. So I probably not quite as prolific, but you can drive and not very far and hit an apple orchard as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. I'm feeling very nostalgic right now.
I was impressed with all the blueberry shops that you had.
Yeah, we're really kind of famous for our blueberries right here where I live.
Yeah. Well, we're thrilled that you could be with us today and talk about all these wonderful new introductions that are out on the market, and to give our listeners opportunities for greater diversity in their gardens and to attract wildlife if they want wildlife. If they don't want wildlife, there's also choices for that too. I think that's critical. Yeah. And we're just delighted that you could be with us and talk to us about these things.
One last question, Natalie. Do you have a favorite tree?
I do have a favorite tree, and it's very different than the kind of trees we talk about. So my favorite tree, and I don't know if it's because I love saying the name so much, but I know it's not that. I just think the tree is amazing. I love the dawn redwood, the metasequoia, Leptostroboides. I love its story. I love its soft leaves. I love the bark, the deeply, fluted, peeling bark. I just think, anytime you can embrace a living fossil, and I really fell in love with them actually now I'm going to have a hard time pulling it up, but there's the alley.
It was Swarthmore.
Swarthmore College has a gorgeous medicine alley, and I fell in love. Absolutely gorgeous.
And do you know that was by accident? They weren't supposed to be planting those. They were going to plant, I think it was Cryptomeria. And they don't like to have wet feet. So the Metasequoia
doesn't care.
I said it was the best mistake that could have ever happened.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular. It's just a really, really beautiful tree. I think testament to how long-lived nature is.
Can you grow them out in Michigan?
Technically we should be able to grow them in Michigan, although I don't really see them out here. They're hardy down to 4, right?
Yeah, they're pretty hardy trees.
But I don't see a lot of them out here, strangely.
Well, proven winners, I hope you're listening.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you a cutting of mine.
Yeah.
I have mine in a container on my patio too.
Oh, you do?
It sits on the top of my table out in a big pot.
Gosh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, if you don't send the cutting once again with the other picture, send me a picture of it.
Well, we wish you the best, and thank you so much again for being on our podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for trusting me to be on your podcast.
Anyone from Michigan, it's going to be good, wholesome entertainment.
There you go.
And an actress, too. You can't get better than that, Natalie.
That's right. Who wants to talk more than an actor?
Oh, take care. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Natalie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Plant a Trillion Trees podcast is edited by Andromedan Recordings in Hollywood, California.